Saudi-backed LIV Golf tournament tees off at former President Trump's Bedminster golf course with big stars amid big pressure from the PGA and 9/11 groups.
Yeah, our national correspondent Michael Carter is at the Bedminster golf course with more. Hi, Mike.
Hey guys, good afternoon. Well, it's becoming increasingly more popular to become a fan of golf, to root for the players in the LIV Golf Tour than it is even in the PGA Tour. A lot of former PGA stars are LIV Golf Tour. It has to do with money, the better schedule. You're seeing stars like Bryson DeChambeau, Bubba Watson, two-time Masters champion, recently signed with the LIV Golf Tour. Also Dustin Johnson, Sergio Garcia, and Phil Mickelson. Of course, there's a lot of controversy around LIV Golf, in particular this tournament here this weekend at the Trump Golf Course here in Bedminster, New Jersey. Why? Well, some people say LIV Golf has blood money on its hands. It has relations with the Saudi royal family, which a lot of folks who are tied to 9/11, those families in 9/11 say, you know, the Saudi royal family, they were involved in that. The Saudi regime was involved in that, and any company that gets involved with the Saudi government is bad news. So last hour, Phil Mickelson teed off here at the 16th hole just behind me, and keeping all of that in mind, here's what happened. There shouting. Some of the LIV folks who work on site here at the golf course have been saying, you know, there are more reporters here than protesters, however. When asked yesterday about this controversy, here's what former President Donald Trump had to say.
They've been friends of mine for a long time. They've invested in many American companies. They own big percentages of many, many American companies. And frankly, what they're doing for golf is so great. What they're doing for the players is so great. The salaries are going to go way up. The PGA was not loved by a lot of the players, as you know, for a long time. Now they have an alternative, and nobody would have ever known there was going to be a gold rush like this.
So before you jump all over Donald Trump and his golf courses hosting LIV Golf tournaments, take a look at some of these companies that also are invested in by Saudi Arabia: Twitter, Nintendo, Disney, Facebook, Starbucks, Amazon, Uber, and AT&T. A lot of folks say there's a lot of blame to cast around when you want to start pointing at one particular area of Saudi interest. But of course, it's not all about controversy this weekend. We are here. A lot of folks celebrating patriotism, glad to be in the presence of former President Trump. We talked to a few of them last hour.
Usually the golf, tournaments are very calm and quiet. This is awesome. You have these guys flying in with the American flag. I'm so proud to be an American right now.
So I went to a PGA event last year. Now I think this is very more interactive. I think the fans are more included in the process of the tournament. I think it's awesome.
Who are you more excited to see this weekend, Phil Mickelson or Donald Trump?
Oh, that's a tough one. Both, equally. Donald Trump has to be, though.
So if Joe Biden was hosting this event, what would we see? What would people be wearing around the golf course?
Little pajamas, little pillows, little nap time. Sleepy Joe.
Best players in the world playing here this weekend at Bedminster, New Jersey. Incidentally, another thing about the PGA Tour when it comes to Donald Trump golf courses, they removed their tournament back in 2016 from the Trump National Doral course in Miami when Donald Trump was running for president. And after January 6th of last year, they removed the PGA tournament that takes place annually here at Bedminster. So the only place, if you're Donald Trump, that you can host the best players in the world right now is by going through LIV Golf. Guys?
All right, thank you. He's got the 54 in the background there with Mike. Thank you, Mike. 54, LIV, LIV. That's where, in case anybody was wondering, 54 holes
Roman
instead
numerals.
instead of 72 holes. Joining us now to discuss a controversial event, global business analyst and golf expert and commentator Hilary Fordwich. Hilary, you can certainly understand the business decision by some of these golfers. I mean, some people have said this is just the new senior tour because you're taking guys like Sergio and Phil and Bubba who probably aren't at their peak anymore and they're making a lot of money. But there still is that controversy.
There's lots of controversy around it. You're right. Pleasure to be back with you. A couple of things here. Yes, I mean, even people like Brooks Koepka, who's had injuries. So there's a lot of people who are injured. A lot of people, like you just mentioned, are past their prime. One thing I would say is just when, the reporter just now, he had that list up of all the companies. Tesla is also a company that the Saudis have invested in. So those, the 9/11 families, no one could say, I'm sure, that we don't all feel horrendous for them. We all felt horrendous on 9/11. It was an absolutely dreadful event. But I'm sure those families probably drink Starbucks coffee. Have they never gotten in an Uber because of the investment of the Saudis? So I think there's a lot of different sides of the story here. There are people who love loud music at an event. They love this team event. They're into a different vibe. One can't say whether that's right or wrong. Those things are subjective. My line is hypocrisy. Don't say this is morality over money or money over morality when the very same people have also probably put gas in their car. And, we all know that about 12% of all our petrol and gas comes from Saudi Arabia. So don't be a hypocrite about it. At least be consistent. That's my red line.
Yeah. Also, speaking of hypocrisy and consistency, wasn't it just a couple weeks ago that our President Biden, was in Saudi Arabia fist bumping the prince and also begging for oil? So it's quickly how much opinion changes when it's President Trump who is involved.
Well, you're absolutely right there, because the mainstream media, if you look at what all the mainstream media are saying, they're all saying this is absolutely ghastly, this investment is ghastly, and what about those 9/11 families? They weren't saying that. You're totally right when President Biden went over there. The other thing I also would say is for people who say, well, the players that have gone over to it, they say, well, they want to control their schedule. On the other hand, don't forget, they want to control their schedule and they want to play in PGA events. When you add up the 8 events that LIV Golf has, and now it's going to 14, and the fact that they want to play the PGA events as well, they can't use that as their line of reasoning because they're actually going to end up playing in as many events. I'll tell you where the future comes down to. This is the bottom line. Right now, those powers that be at Augusta, they have not said that the LIV Golf players can't play in the Masters. If they can't play in the Masters, that's going to dissuade a lot of talent from going over to LIV. But if they can, why wouldn't they go to LIV, make the money, play the Masters? The other thing is the other major events like the USGA running the US Open. And of course, Royal and Ancient, they just had the British Open, that's just referred to as the Open over at the pond, but the Open. So what about the Open? What about, of course, we know the PGA Championship, they're not going to let them play, but those other majors and the Masters, that's going to be a tipping point. Because if they're allowed to play those, that's when many of them are more likely to go after this season.
And I think Bubba, Phil, Dustin, Sergio, I think they've all won the Masters, which is a lifetime qualifier. How does this play out? The PGA seems between a rock and a hard place here. They don't want to lose these guys. People literally go out to watch these, not for them necessarily to win, but because they've watched them for years and they want to see them.
Yes, I put it this way, I would not want to be in Tim Fincham's shoes right now. Right. He's, of course, head of the PGA. A couple of things here. I think they don't know what the future is going to hold. How long can they hold out? Who can compete? The PGA, certainly, I don't see competing against billions and billions that SBM, the Saudi prince, that he's investing in this. He cannot, Tim Fincham and the PGA cannot compete with that over the long haul. Something interesting, of course, that former President Trump did say was he predicts, and who knows if he's correct or not, but there will be a merger at some juncture, in which case those PGA players that haven't gone over, President Trump is saying all they'll get will be a thank you, and they'll be out of those millions. So I think it's a very tough position for PGA pros to be in, for the PGA to be in, and certainly they're being investigated right now for monopolizing the golf industry by DOJ.
Yeah. So then maybe if they merge, it won't be 54 holes or 72. It'll be 63. And then it'll be the what?
That's
the
too much math for
LXIII. Doesn't really roll off the tongue. Hilary, thank you so much for being with us.
Pleasure.
Hey guys, it's Rob Carson. I want to tell you about the Patriot Gold Group. But first, let me tell you that the S&P has already lost $8.2 trillion in 2022. Did you know that? Peak inflation is not even hit despite the Fed rate hikes on groceries, on gas. You know it as well as I do. Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs are warning of another 20% drop. Inflation is winning in a knockout right now. The Fed is going to raise rates again at the end of July. Meanwhile, Goldman, Wells Fargo, and Bloomberg are all forecasting gold to surpass all-time highs. If you want to invest in gold, call 888-936-2373 now. Call the Patriot Gold Group today and ask about their no-fee-for-life IRA. Sounds like a good deal, don't it? Here's the number, 888-936-2373, 888-936-2373 for the Patriot Gold Group.